I wanted to vlog, just to really get my thoughts out with some of the stuff that God has been exposing me to and just really revealing to me in these past few weeks. Just visiting different churches and whatnot, and he really just has me in a place of just really just a quiet place, not just really being as quick to just share, you know, what he's been teaching me and stuff. But this is something that's just really been bothering me in my spirit, and just really on the inside of me. I just have to speak about it, whether it's through a vlog or, you know, whatever. And you know, I want to say this, visiting different churches lately, I've always heard about people experiencing church hurt, and to be honest with you, I never really cared about it because in my mind, because I was never a church person, I learned everything that I learned from the Holy Spirit, just being in my room. God actually pulled me out of church when I was 15 because it was a dead church. He revealed that to me. And so whenever I would hear Christians talk about church hurt or how they got hurt by leadership, or, you know, maybe just other Christians being in the church, I just always pass that off as, well, that's to be expected, because if it's a religious institution, you're dealing with carnal people already, so you can't really expect righteousness from people who don't really know God because they don't have an intimate relationship with the Lord. But I never was able to, in other words, relate to those Christians who actually experienced that, because I never had to go through that. But recently, I have gotten a taste with visiting different churches, and the Lord has exposed something completely new to me when it comes to his heart, when it comes to his people and his flock. And I didn't think that that God considered those churches his people. Maybe some of them are, some of them may not be. I just used to always just write them off as apostate churches and whatnot. But whenever I would pray about these particular churches, he would take me to scriptures, and he would call them his people. So I said, okay. So for him to call them his people, and I can clearly discern that they're entirely religious, that means that at some point they had to be born again. And, you know, as David Ill says in several of his books, he has some beautiful books, I always talk about that. You know, when the word talks about being twice dead, plucked up by the roots, well, you can't be twice dead unless you've been born twice. You know, so these are people who at some point did get born again. They did receive the Holy Spirit, but they did not follow or continue in that doctrine, or as a disciple of Christ to continue abiding in the Lord. So that results in them being a withered branch, and now you have religion. That's how that happens. And they continue in that tradition and that religion, so they could actually be born again people, but according to their current state and their current condition, they're not a part of his flock. But he will still call them my people because they have his spirit in them. Doesn't mean they're yielding to it at all. I'm just saying they have it in them. You know, it's like having a jar of coconut oil on the shelf. You can say, oh yeah, I got that in my kitchen too, but you don't ever use it. It's just on the shelf. So people can have the Holy Spirit, and that means absolutely nothing. They're not yielding to him. They're not obedient to him. They probably by this point have even forgotten his voice. And if there's any hint of him that they still feel, it probably will be subtle conviction that they don't yield to, because they like their religion and their pride over the heart of God. But I'm not, I don't want to exaggerate that too much, maybe later on. But I will just say, recently visiting different churches, what I have felt, and I wasn't really expecting, like I said, I wasn't expecting too much because I'm already not a church person. God has exposed so much to me about church. There's no way I could expect, you know, what I get here in my personal restaurant with the Holy Spirit. I don't expect to get that from your church, because 9 times out of 10 they are religious and it's not spiritual. It's more, you know. I will say though, what I felt with one particular church, I consider myself to be a very interesting and unique person for several reasons. But for one, just like any other Christian, I still have a lot of different strongholds that I'm still dealing with. And I think it's interesting to see how people in a church or members or whatnot or leadership, how they will respond to somebody who they probably are not familiar with. Let's say if they're very quiet or they're very withdrawn, or it seems like they don't want to participate, all those different things. It's such an interesting thing to watch how people who are supposed to be representatives of Jesus Christ and his love, selfless, how they will respond to somebody like that who comes into their congregation, or should I say their social club. And the reason I say social club is because you can feel when people automatically reject you because they don't understand you. And I have so much discernment to the point where it grieves me the first 5 minutes when I sit in the church, because I can literally pick up on everybody's thoughts and feelings and spirits. I pick up on all that stuff when I'm in a church. So that's kind of the downside of having the gift of discernment. I wouldn't trade it for the world, but I'm just saying I can feel all of that. And I was just thinking to myself, not saying that we have to be perfect, but it further confirms how much the church is in a bad state. And what God has been teaching me in these past few weeks is just, first of all, he hates it so much. There's so much judgment about to come on so many churches. I'm not trying to scare any. You should be scared, actually. You should be scared, because what he allowed me to feel, his heart, some services I left heartbroken and not really having anything personally done against me. I would just leave heartbroken. I had a grievous pain just in my heart. And I was like, God, I said, what is this? I said, nothing happened to me. I mean, I may have discerned some things that grieved me initially just simply because I knew it wasn't the Spirit of God and it was religion. But for me to just feel that heartbroken and just pained, like sin was just done against me, I said, God, what is that? And he told me it was his anger and a lot of hurt. I'm going to cry in this video, but that's okay. Just a lot of pain and anger that God has been storing up and has been feeling for a very long time when it comes to leadership in churches. And he told me, he said, you have no idea how angry it makes me and how much it really hurts me to see these people who are supposed to be leadership. I'm going to get into it in a few minutes, but he said, I send my flock, I send my children that I love, like precious cubs, especially if they're babes, don't really know any better. Maybe they're broken and they just need love. I send these people into these environments for these leadership to take care of them, to nurture them, to love them. That should be something that's already in the heart of that individual. And for these people to go into these churches and they experience what we call church hurt, what really made him angry, and what I felt, it was a very, I felt it for 2 days straight. I was actually praying for him to take it away. He did end up taking that away, because I just felt so grieved, I can't continue to visit them, these churches, if I have this, I want to be able to focus. So man, when you really pray for God to give you his heart, he'll do it. But honestly, it's so overwhelming. It's not a lot that we can contain. I think the idea of us being closer to God's heart and whatnot, yeah, we want that. And honestly, I'm thinking about praying that he gives it back to me. But you guys, you have no idea how much Jesus Christ loves his flock. He will kill over it. He will kill over it. He will kill your leaders. It really mind boggles me. I've said this so many times, but it just goes to show you how upside down the mind of leadership is, because it's so much wrong. It really is wrong. But how these people can continue to think that they are in right standing with God, number one, continue to walk in pride in these titles or these whatever they believe their identity is because of the position that they hold, and not even once consider how much God hates them right now. And when I say hatred, I mean a righteous hatred. I felt it. It's a pure hatred, if that makes any sense. Only God can have a pure hatred, but that's what I felt. And I just really felt in his heart, you know, when it comes to leadership in ministry and people in pastoral positions, you know, these are people, the ones that God ordained, first of all. Because everybody who's in leadership, God did not put there. They put themselves there, which is why they're in much more danger. And trust me, they are, because God told me they are. There's so much judgment about to come down upon these particular people. And I don't feel bad about it one bit. However he manifests that, I will just be in the background. And he's humbled me so much these past few days. I don't want anybody's judgment. Some of the things that he's revealed to me about their hearts and the way they've treated his people, I've done myself. So I've learned how to stay in a place of humility when it comes to God telling me who he's going to judge and how he's going to go about judging somebody. Simply because we are in error of the ministry of reconciliation and the ministry of love that we should be having towards other believers, especially if you are in leadership. Wolves who are in leadership, who boast in a position like that, knowing that they have no reflection of Jesus Christ, is equivalent to the sin that Satan did when he was in heaven. It's a dangerous place to be in when you are in administration with God, the Father. Dangerous, dangerous place. It's not so much about you being an example as it is about the service that you are responsible in administering to broken sheep. You are running people away from the Father who loves his sheep because of how you are treating them. These people do not have the love of God in their heart. They don't even know God. They have no intimacy, no relationship. It doesn't even take you 5 minutes to see it, especially if you know the Father for yourself. I'm not even going to talk about your knowledge and whether you know about the Greek and the Hebrew or whether you're a good teacher, although the Bible already says if somebody wants to be a bishop, they should be apt to teach. So they should know something before they even put themselves in that position. But what God's main concern is, do they have a heart that has already been proven by me? Do they have a heart that is sober and selfless enough to show my love, my unconditional love, without hypocrisy, unfeigned love, to the people that I will send to them? That's all God cares about. Because love can heal so many different things. Love don't need your knowledge. Knowledge is a great benefit. You know, it's great to have alongside, you know, the unconditional love. But love is the main thing. When God puts people in leadership, he really sets them as parents over his other children, over his other baby cubs, you know, who like I said, we all need love. We all want love. And honestly, not that it has to be a building, you know, but church leadership, it should be a place where if you're looking for love and you're looking for God, church should be the first place that you can go to. And it's very sad that these days that's not the case at all. You know, when I was feeling all that anger, I just felt when God's angry, it really comes from a place of love, man. Like he really, I have no words to express in this video how much God loves his children. He will kill over his children. Let there be one bad seed that was responsible for that saint ever walking away from the faith, I cannot even express what God will do to somebody like that. To even take advantage of a ministry like that, you know, you're not even supposed to be there. You don't have the love of God in your heart. Why are you even here? Sometimes I just think that to myself. I'm not led to say that to those people, but that's really what's in my heart. Why are you even here? Why? You don't love these people. You don't love me. I can feel it. You know, why are you even here? You're completely out of place. Go work a job. You know, go find you something that's Ministry is not for you. Ministry is for the selfless. Ministry is for the meek. People who have been broken. People who care more about other people than themselves. They would sacrifice their own home, their own money, their own bank account, as long as God's sheep is taken care of. And when I say his sheep, I'm not talking just about a church congregation, although they may enter into a church congregation. His sheep, just his people who are trying to learn more about God, who are really seeking God, who are born again, who are part of the family of God now spiritually through faith in the gospel, his sheep. If you don't have that, if you're not equipped or qualified to love, because the gospel is really just love. Like I said, it's really not about your knowledge. But if you don't have that already in the treasures of your heart, if you can't sincerely sit here and tell me that you love me genuinely, not having known anything about me, you are not equipped for ministry. Period, point blank. I've had so many experiences with pastors who got offended with me. Probably rightfully so. Some of them are relatives of mine. But I mean, it really just, it blows my mind. How are you people in leadership? How? You're still full of yourself. You still get offended when somebody says something negative about you. And you're trying to lead God's flock. Lead them where? Into a gall of bitterness and offense with you? And then somehow try to justify it with scripture and say it's okay for you to feel this way, instead of showing them I should be selfless. I should not even care what somebody has to say about me. It's not about me. It's about the Lord. I should be able to stand before these people and look at them and feel the way God feels about them. And if they were to say the ugliest thing to me, it would hurt my heart, because I want them to have the heart of God. And it hurts me that they're saying something contrary to his nature, and that's not what I want for them. But not because it was against me, and it offends my ego and how I feel about myself and who I feel that I am. So let me kick them out of my church. F them, and I've had so many experiences, you guys, and in the past, like I said, I never thought nothing of it, because I already they're religious, so I didn't expect anything more. I was always against them. But now God is taking me in a different place where he's allowing me to feel his heart towards leadership. And you guys, it's not good. I didn't know what God was going to do when I read that book a couple days ago, when he picked the book, because I cast lots and stuff to see. I literally got like 25 new books in. So I'll let him pick which book he wanted me to read. He still has me reading The Bait of Satan. I've already finished it, but I have to go back over and reread to just take notes for unforgiveness and stuff. Just things to remember when I'm in different trials and whatnot, so the enemy doesn't try to ensnare me. But yeah, Rebecca Brown's Becoming a Vessel of Honor. I was not expecting that introduction about judgment, beginning at the house of God, and I only read a little part of it, and then I made my video, and then I went back and read, and he just confirmed what I said in my video. So this is definitely a season where he's about to bring judgment on so many people. And I think the reason he has me visiting different churches, some of them, he has already told me, I'm not here to learn anything from them. You're simply here to be planted, to test their hearts. Not me testing them, God testing them through me, to see how they respond. And you know what's really sad? It's dangerous for leadership, because you never know who God sends into your church to sift you, to test you. To test your heart, how you're going to respond to this person. Everybody ain't just no ordinary, visitor. You know how the word says, we entertain angels unaware. You never know who God's going to send into your congregation. Just how God used to come down in the Old Testament and visit, how he sent those two angels to visit Sodom and Gomorrah. They didn't even know who those angels were. The sole purpose they went down there, it's in scripture, and God said, it's for me to see if it's really as bad as what has come up to heaven, what I've heard. So I'm going to send these two angels down there to really check everything out and see what's going on. And sure enough, when those angels went, not even a day went by And people were knocking on Lot's door to have sex with them. So the report was true. They are wicked. Now it's time for judgment. It's time for judgment now. And they left, and sure enough, God brought judgment. Don't think that the Lord is staying his hand when it comes to judgment. He's really graceful towards a lot of churches. He's giving people a chance to repent and to get it right. I didn't send these people here for you to hurl at them and to yell at them, to throw shade behind the pulpit and offend them. You offend people when you do. That's another thing I'm going to talk about that he's been dealing with me on for the past few days. But I sent these people to you so that they can eat of me, so that they can learn of me and draw closer to me through you. When people, we always say, oh, we're just a vessel for God. That's not cliche. A vessel means empty. It's simply just a carrier that God uses for his power. You should not be anywhere in the mix of that. You will mess up and defile so many things that God wants to say to his people if you are in the way. So your offense, if you're still privy to offense, you should not be anywhere in leadership. Nowhere close. Because what ministry consists of, you're going to get so many different types of people. You're going to get ugly ones, broken ones, vulnerable ones, demonized ones. Somebody straight out of Satanism could come into your church. And so, some of these pastors, they'll go ahead and tell you, oh, well, we never had that. I wouldn't even know what to do with somebody like that. If they even came, they would have to go. Exactly. You should not be in ministry. If you are not prepared to take on a situation like that, if a Satanist was to come into your church, you should not be anywhere in ministry. I hate hearing pastors say that. Well, some people have that gift, and some people, it's not a gift. The Bible doesn't say anywhere that it's a gift. That's a power and authority that every single believer has, if they believe it. So you don't even believe the gospel, yet you're standing here trying to preach to other people. What sense does that make? How can you make me a believer when you don't even believe yourself that you can help me cast this devil out? So, when he was telling me that about judgment, it's about to come on all these churches, a lot of churches. I strongly feel that because I have another sister in Christ who's been getting that word in her spirit lately. So it seems like God is kind of going around the whole body of Christ, revealing that. And I felt his anger. I felt his hatred. But I could feel that it was burning and stimulated, from a place of love and concern for his flock. And there's wolves over the flock now who are devouring the children. So it's not so much about them being an example as leadership as it is about you are devouring and you are destroying my children. Things that you have said and things that you have done have planted or formed a gateway for Satan to just have them because of what you did. And you're supposed to be leadership. And you're so blind, like how Jesus told the Pharisees, you can discern the skies, and the times, but you can't discern this. You don't even know how I feel about you. That's how blind you are. But you still go to these services in your church every Sunday and preach to other people. Worship me in my name. Oh, worship God. You don't even know me. You don't even know I hate you right now. How blind are you? Further confirmation that they have no relationship, because if they did, they would have been convicted a long time ago. That would have been stopped. There's no transparency with this leadership. No transparency, no real vulnerability. So the irony of that is there's no way they could take care of you, who is very vulnerable and broken and transparent, because they're not that way themselves. They cannot even be honest with other believers in their own flock. I'm dealing with this. My heart is not right. I need to step down. because it's going to completely crucify their position, their title, their ego. They can't let you think for 1 minute that they're, anything less of what they should be, when honestly, anybody with discernment can already see that. Just from the lack of love I feel when I walk into this place. One of them in particular, I felt no love. I honestly felt, that's why I say God will plant certain people in these atmospheres just to test the hearts of the people in that church, to expose them. I'm already naturally withdrawn, and I still kind of struggle with social anxiety and whatnot. I actually had one of the members, I guess because they probably didn't already know who I was, or maybe they felt, I don't know what they were thinking, but I was just very quiet. I was sitting, really in the back or whatever, moved away from me just to go sit somewhere else. And I could feel her attitude when she did it. Well, I don't want to be around her. Like, that type of thing. And I kind of laughed to myself, because I said, she has no discernment whatsoever. Probably none of them do. But I was just thinking, what if this was somebody who was in an abusive relationship? Maybe that's why they're not smiling today. And you had this repulsive, carnal, satanic attitude towards somebody like that, when if you really had the love of God in your heart, maybe the Holy Spirit would have led you to, sit next to them instead of not behind them or moving away from them. Give them a word of encouragement. Pray with them. Or just show them some love. When you walk into a church, if it's truly God's people, you should feel an atmosphere, like a cloud, a cloak of love. That's all you should feel. And that's honestly why I don't participate in some worship. Honestly, try to avoid worship service before the actual preaching of the word in churches, because people don't understand what worship is for. To begin with, they don't even understand what worship is for. Worship is supposed to bring in the presence of God, and it doesn't at all. When you'll find that with most churches, it doesn't do that at all when that takes place. And it's really just in vain. It's just religious. It's just religious practice and tradition. Because if God really, it's another thing. It shows how blind some churches are. If God was really receptive to your praise and your worship, his presence would have been all over that church. So that means that he does not listen to your worship. There are scriptures in the Old Testament where God, he said, they're clinging of their cymbals and their instruments. I don't want to hear it. You can Google that. It's actually in the Bible. So that's a new nugget for some of y'all who may have never thought about that. If God was really approving of the hearts of the people in that church, if he was really with them, if he had any agreement with those people, that's one for sure way you could know if God approves a church or not, or the leadership. If his heart is really with those people, when all that worship and praise is going on, it's not about who can sing good or what song is being sung. You will feel God's presence in that church. He will stamp it and mark his territory. These are my people. Just like he did with Jesus when he was baptized. This is my son, and I'm very well pleased with him. If God's heart is with the church, when they do all that worship and praise, you will feel the presence of God. You'll feel nothing but love. That's what you'll feel. If you don't feel that, something's wrong. He's not there. So I try to skip it as much as possible, because that part alone grieves me, to be honest with you. But I've been going out of obedience. It's a lot of things that God is showing me, and that was the main thing that he was really angry about and really concerned about, is that his people are not being taken care of. It's true that everybody should have their own personal relationship with the Lord and everything, but there is church administration, or I should say leadership, not the way that it's being done today, but just the authentic gospel and the way that it should have been done, or the way it was just originally just kind of lined up how it should be. Like, for an example, in my book Pagan Christianity, it breaks down so much stuff, how for one, pastoral leadership is not even a title, it's a service. So actually there wasn't ever supposed to be just one person. It could be 6 to 17 people in a church service that has the service of leadership towards God's flock. And the responsibility that they hold is not to always be this hovering influence over you and you stay their babies in their church, you know. But to grow the flock, to grow the sheep and mature them according to what they have already, the knowledge that they have, the maturity that they have, to consistently grow up mature saints. It's an administration. It's like a school. That's really what leadership is about. And of course, the administration of just love, showing who Christ really is. So these are people, if they're in these positions, who should have the love of God in their heart. They should already have that. It's not something that you're still growing from as a pastor and you're still struggling with sin. You're struggling with sin. First of all, you don't believe the gospel, that you've been crucified with Christ, you know, dead to self. So you should, like I said, you shouldn't be anywhere close to a position of leadership if that's what you're dealing with. But I will say that with some of them, when I went, and I wasn't exactly sure why he was putting me here, because I was just obedient, you know. I said, okay, well, you know, I'll visit and I'll do what I need to do. And I didn't know what he had planned, so he's still kind of revealing as I go along. And that's what I felt. I didn't feel any love. I have felt some very distasteful spirits against me. Some of them have been from leadership. Some of them from just, you know, different members who are attending the churches. And that was the first thing that he registered to me when I went. And sometimes he would actually put that grievance in my spirit. I would leave. I would come home heartbroken. And I'd say, God, why do I feel heartbroken? He said, well, yeah, what did you feel while you were there? I said, well, obviously a lot of religion. Not really you. I mean, that's to be expected. But I did feel that some did not like me or were accepting of me. I did not feel embraced. Probably even hated me. I didn't feel any love. And, you know, things along the lines of that. And he just said exactly. Wasn't nice about it either. He was not nice about it when he said it. I know we have a hard time thinking that Jesus can get mad. You know, I'm not talking about self-condemnation. That's not what I'm talking about. But it's very contrary to how I know him. So the side of him that I've been experiencing these past few weeks is not. It was just like an exactly. Yes, like trust me, I'm gonna get them. Really, really, it was that kind of thing. And it's like, okay. And just the pain, I cried. I'm not gonna lie, I cried. Some of them actually, I prayed for them. I prayed for the leadership, and I prayed for the members, because it really just broke my heart to see. And it really was just a combination of me feeling this, but also what he feels. They don't know God at all. And this goes beyond abiding in knowledge. I'm talking about love, man. Like, wow. They don't know him at all. I was just praying for them because God, he already told me that judgment is coming. So that's not really something I have to pray for or pray against. He made that clear. And I even asked him, I said, well, since you're saying that judgment's going to come upon them, do you still want me to pray for them? He said, yes, I still want you to pray for them. So that's what I did. I prayed that, you know, he showed them a reflection of themselves and who they really are. And that's a hard thing for people to accept sometimes. They don't like to be told. And, you know, sometimes it's not always your responsibility to go correct somebody. God has so many different ways of correcting people. It could just simply, you just being humble. You have no idea what that would do to somebody's conscience. For them to believe they're so religious and so pious, but to see somebody who's actually the image of Christ themselves. That's conviction alone. You don't have to say anything. You can just be. Be meek. Be humble. Be broken. Be loving. Show them what they know that they don't have in their hearts. You don't have to tell them anything. Hey, you're doing this wrong. Hey, I don't feel the love of God when I come. You don't have to say all that. If God leads you to, definitely say it. Because there may come a time where God will actually make you get up and speak. Just like he made all the you know, earlier prophets do. But sometimes you don't have to say anything. And I was praying for that he shows them a reflection of themselves, that he convicts them by the Holy Spirit. I've been praying for their discernment, for everybody's discernment, just in case the leadership does not change. I want them to be exposed. So I've been praying that God gives the people in the church discernment within their own hearts, showing them their own hearts, but also the hearts of the people around them, that they can know this is not okay. And this is actually breaking God's heart. I hate church so much. Not what it's supposed to be. I just hate what it is today, because we make it so much about the people. It's not about the people, first of all. It's about God. It's about his administration. It's about his kingdom being manifested here. His kingdom is nothing but a kingdom of love. There may be some details and some order, in the midst of that, but for the most part, it's really just love. Love should be reigning in a church. I'm not even going to say a church service. Yes, a church service, but in the heart of the believer. And that's not what I've been seeing. So that's really what just makes God angry, and what really just breaks his heart. I know we see it from like a legalist standpoint, as oh, sin, if the pastor's in sin, yeah, God's going, honey, you in sin just because you don't love my flock. Like, that's honestly, if he ever used me to say something, he may, to be honest with you, I'm just waiting. I don't want to do or say anything off program, so he's still just kind of revealing as we go. But they're looking for the pastor to be in some sexual sin, or some type of obvious blatant wrong, when honestly you can make God angry just because you have the complete opposite of his true nature in your heart. You look nothing like him. God is love. His image is love. And the fact that you don't even have that in your heart, you pick and choose who you want to accept in your church and who you hate, and knowing you hate this person, you still get up and preach to people. It mind boggles me. I'm just like, do they not have any discernment that they're wolves? Or maybe they know they're wolves, yet still continue fearlessly. Don't fear God at all. Will lie and do whatever they have to do. I don't know. But if it's the latter, that makes the judgment a lot worse. It's one thing to not know you're a wolf and you don't have any discernment and you're just presumptuously preaching and doing what you're doing. But it's another thing to know you're a wolf and to know your heart, that you should not be anywhere close to ministry. To know all the people that you have offended and that you've hurt and that you've broken. You have not repented of that. You know you don't have any authentic relationship, but your pride is in your ministry, your church, and you're playing with God's heart. That's why sin and judgment really comes upon people, is because you play with God's heart. Whenever you break one of his people's hearts, or you hurt another believer, or you offend them in any way, I promise you, if you get knocked out by God for that, it's because he loved that person and you destroyed them. What he allowed me to feel, I had such a strong pain. I really cannot explain to you. Like, I was grieved. I was praying for them. I'm glad that, I had the love of God in my heart for them. He's really been perfecting that within me. But, man, like, those people. And then he's been taking me and another friend of mine just through scriptures of just 1st and 2nd Peter, John, about ministry and just leadership. I didn't see the things that he's revealing to me, now before. But he's angry. He's so like, and me and her were just talking. He said, we always talk about the lost and God's judgment on the lost. It's like, no, he's angry with the leaders. Everybody's gonna get it. Those who are really a part of the flock and the wolves. It's coming on everybody. Anybody who has put them in a position of leadership, put themselves in a position of leadership, and who is not a authentic carrier of the love of God. And trust me, you probably didn't have to say nothing ugly to nobody in your church. If you are not a carrier or a vessel for God's love, you already broke them. It's beyond me why people chase down positions of leadership. I don't understand that. They act like that's not a serious, position to take on. You don't understand the responsibility of being in a position like that. And I think that's why, in 1 Timothy, Paul was saying, well, if someone desires to be a bishop, that proves right there, there's nothing wrong with wanting it, because Paul already having the mind of Christ and Paul already having the love of God, he assumed if someone does want that position, it's because they already love the flock. So if someone desires to be a bishop, they really just want to take care of God's sheep, in other words. There's nothing wrong with that. That's actually very great, you know, and it's, according to pagan Christianity, there was never supposed to be just one pastor anyway. So there's nothing wrong if somebody wants that role over other believers. But Paul is just saying that's great, that's perfect, you know, if they love God's sheep to that capacity. So you see what the main motive was, and Paul even permitting it, was love. I would love to ask every pastor in a church, what motivated you to be a preacher? I mean, what really made you want to be in a position of leadership? Well, you know, my dad was a pastor, or, you know, my grandparents were a pastor, you know, God just called me, God told me I was going to be preaching, or, you know, I always just was a good preacher. So in other words, you took on a role in a position to love and nurture and take care of probably thousands of people, knowing that you were never really prepared in heart to do it. You never really had the love of God already equipping you to even take on a role like that. So love was never your motivation to become a bishop. It's so many people in these positions that don't even understand what being a bishop is about, what leadership is even about, but they jump into this. Who were the people that Jesus sent out, his disciples, that he made apostles, sent them out 2 by 2? People who were very close to him, right? That means they had intimacy. Maybe one did not, but that was prophecy, Judas. But they had intimacy. So that shows you right there that the people that Jesus truly ordains for an assignment like that, for a position as apostle or bishop over a flock, they had already spent some time in the secret place. So they know him intimately to know what their mandate is when I go forth and when I do this. I know who my Lord is because I've spent so much time with him. His disciples were always with him. You can read it for yourself. Jesus never sent anybody out to do ministry who did not spend a lot of time with him and who knew him personally. In other words, they knew that he was love. Spent a lot. I mean, this is beyond the signs and wonders and things that he did, and the wise gems that he was always dispersing and that he taught them. But you don't think they got a lot of time to see what his nature was like, his personality, his character, his heart for the people? I mean, there's so many things that Jesus shared with them as his disciples and his friends. He clearly said, I no longer call you servants but friends, because I revealed to you what I do. A servant doesn't know what their master does, but friends do. So there's a lot of things not even documented in scripture that I'm sure Jesus shared with them. They had a lot of intimate times with him, and that's shown by how heartbroken they were when he left. They were friends. They got a chance to see a side of Jesus that a lot of people did not get to see. They knew him intimately. They cried. These were grown men who cried. When Peter, when Peter even betrayed him, he cried. Because his pride was exposed. He couldn't believe that he would do something like that to his best friend. But God knew that underneath that pride that Peter really loved him. And that was a sifting season for him. But my point is, if you read the Bible, these are men, grown men, especially for somebody as, feisty as Peter, who cried. So they were very, very close to the Lord's heart. Mary, Martha, all of them. These are people who were in the secret place. They knew Christ intimately. So when it came time for them to continue his work after he ascended as apostles, they were already equipped to do that work. Not just with power and authority to cast out demons, because a lot of people like to hide behind that veil. Oh, we're true shepherds. We're true servants because we can do that. Okay, well, that comes. Okay, I mean, that's a part of the territory. Every Christian got authority. They got a lot of, let me not even go there. There's a lot of false apostles on YouTube doing that. They do not have the heart of God at all, but anybody can do that. And sometimes that's not even the Spirit of God. So the true test in if somebody is really a servant of God is what the Bible says. You will know them by their fruit. Is their love present? These people that Jesus sent out and trusted his word to once he ascended back home were people who knew him intimately. They knew what was expected of them and what was required of them and what God wanted, first and foremost, to even manifest the kingdom of God. It's my responsibility not just to show God's power over these devils and to heal, but to love. I know that because I spent several years with my master. I've seen him. I've heard him talk. He's expressed to me all the time how much it hurts him to see the broken, to see the lost. And I know his heart. So there's no way you can deceive me as Peter or John and tell me that what you're doing is God when I spent time with him. That's not his heart. So, man, I'm still, I don't know what all God is trying to do. A lot of it honestly has been humbling me already. So I love that part of it because that's one thing I was really praying. I mean, even in the midst of being around wolves, or some of them, but I'm glad that I'm being humbled in the process and I'm getting what I want. And if God wants to use me in any way, I'm happy to do that because I love him. I'm glad that he considers me like a partner in the administration. So that's cool, and being humbled at the same time and everything. But I just want y'all to know God loves his sheep, man. He loves y'all so much. He loves us so much, and he will kill over his sheep. He gonna bring some people down. Some leaders are about to come down, falling down from the buildings, like 9/11 style. I'm dead serious because God probably convicted them several times, but I'm sure that God probably gave them some grace first before he actually brings judgment. I really do believe that God brings grace before judgment, and they've hurt his flock. They completely destroyed representing who he is and how much he loves his people. And my video is about to cut off, but yeah, so